Raul Morales, my good friend from Playa de Carmen, MyCasa. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, Gary. And I'm so glad we're finally neighbors as well.
Yes, yes. So we've gone through a lot over the last year and a bit. I've purchased a beautiful property down there with the help of your team, and since I've gotten back, I've been spreading the word of the location that we're at, what we've purchased, the way that we did it as well too, and sharing all of the amenities, the beautiful beach, and everything that's down there. And so, of course, I wanted to invite you on and let everybody hear it from your lips because you're living it on a day-to-day basis. And I think you've got a great team down there. So why don't you maybe give people a bit of a background of who you are, what you've built down there, and why would somebody want to whether purchase down there for their own personal use or as an investment property?
Okay, yeah. Well, let me start off by introducing myself. And I'm Raul Morales. I'm originally from the United States. I have dual citizenship, Mexican and American citizenship. My mother worked for the U.S. Embassy. My father is a retired Mexican politician and judge. And I've always been going back and forth between Mexico and the U.S. And I have this very nuanced vision of what's to come, what it is now, and where this is all going in the future. So I studied philosophy back in the States, and I went to military school. I got into a little bit of economics. I love teaching. I actually teach negotiation classes to aspiring real estate agents when they want to get their license. I give them classes on negotiations because I'm quite good at it. It's one of my favorite things to do, as you probably noticed. And yeah, I'm also ex-vice president of communications at AMPI, and AMPI is basically the National Association of Realtors here in Mexico, and we're tasked with helping agents get licensed. We have an ethics board. We sanction developers should that be needed, that sort of thing. We're here to make sure that the industry is in the best shape possible for everybody, for Americans, Mexicans, Europeans, Canadians, everyone. So I'm very proud of the work we've done so far. We've come very far in quite a short amount of time, and I'm looking forward to helping more agents, more agencies, more people do things the right way here in the Riviera Maya. So with that being said, remind me what the second question was.
Oh, well, listen, we're just going to have a conversation. And really, what, where I want to go with this next is, why would somebody want to use MyCasa? And I'll tell you why we did. We were looking, this was during the pandemic, and we were looking at videos. We were first actually looking at Costa Rica, and then we actually moved into Playa. And we were looking at a couple different videos, and then we came across yours, and then you just had the way that it was laid out, the way that it was presented, it just made it seem like, hey, these guys are professional and they know what they're doing. And then we actually set up a call with one of your realtors. Why MyCasa? What is it that you do that seems to be different from everybody else that's down in that region?
Well, first off, MyCasa functions as a startup, and I'm defining a startup as a company that brings something new to the market, which is quite difficult because you have to run a lot of experiments, and experiments can be very expensive. And one of the reasons that I started MyCasa is because I saw I saw a great need in this region in general. There's no multiple listing service like they have in Canada and in the US. So there's no centralized place where all developments, all resales, all new construction, all pre-construction in one centralized place where you can look at everything and you can get good information on how much the last unit sold for and things of that nature. So there's no multiple listing service here. And once I started investigating why it didn't take hold here, I started devising a way to fix that. And my solution was and still is MyCasa, where we have access to all properties, but we show them to people in digitized format. So what I mean by that is that right now we have over 800 property walkthrough videos. So these are very simple videos that show you the drone shot, that show you location, because everything's about location in real estate, then a walkthrough as if you were walking through the property yourself as a person, and then audio that gives you the HOA fees, the square footage, and all the details that you may want to know. So in a very short amount of time, about 3 minutes, you get to see a whole property, and you get to find out, do I want to know more about this property, or do I want to go to the next property?
Yeah, and you know
So
what? Yeah, go ahead, continue.
so we're digitizing everything in the Riviera Maya. We have a video on the top 800 properties. We have about another 500, 400 properties to go, but we started with the best first, and you can see that on our website, mycasa.mx. Very easy to filter and pick out your favorites. And this is just something extra that we give our clients so that they can really get a feel of all their different options, and they can see everything from the comfort of their screens. And this is very, very useful. And we have a bunch of other things that make us very different. We're very video heavy in the sense that you can get all your most important questions answered by video. So any educational, the top 20 questions that any buyer would have, we all have them on our YouTube channel, which is also MyCasa, and you can look that up. And you can get your answers straight away. You don't have to wait for an appointment, and I don't have to repeat myself. So it's quite amazing.
And I think that's what we really liked about it, was the fact that, and it was well done. Most of the videos were, like you said, 2.5, 3 minutes. It gave you a nice taste and feel of whether to be the location. You got like a nice little kind of aerial shot, the amenities close to it, and you get this nice walkthrough. And then also too, what I like was that not only were you just showing the properties, you're also doing the testimonials, and you're also doing like this, what we have here, like this HD TV, where they, like a house hunter, where they go out, they look at 3 properties, which we actually got, we got kind of pulled into one of them that Darlene and I did, but it was great. And so once we saw that, we're like, okay, we're in. We're definitely going to use these guys. And we went down there and we bought a property just like that, real quick, right? But here is a question that I think a lot of people bring up. As soon as they hear Mexico, they think of the cartel. Can you talk a little bit about that, right? And crime, and and since I've been down there, I mean, I haven't had any run-ins with them, but just talk a little bit more about that, and what has been some of the solutions in regards to that in that particular region.
Right. And I happen to know, quite a bit about this subject. My father was state attorney general, so he was in charge of closing off borders, making sure no firearms or drugs would cross these borders and things like that. And I went to military school, so I happen to know that, these problems have existed since humanity began. As a matter of fact, the reason standing armies exist nowadays is because back in the day, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there would be marauders that would come into any society, and every September, come and steal the crops, the girls, and the money and everything. So they would have these armies that would just come up during September, but then the marauders would get the invaders would get smart, and they would come in July, whatever. So that's why standing armies were made, and this is just a year-round, having people there year-round for protection. So this is something that every country has nowadays, and those that don't, well, they're not doing so well. Now here, what we have is this incredible demand for a drug supply from the US, which is driving up prices and giving a lot of these cartels a very large amount of money. Mexico's response to this has been, we are going to beef up the soldiers that we have in the Riviera Maya. And this has happened for the past year, more or less. At least 8, 9 months, and it's worked very well because they've put in a lot of technology into the highways where they're scanning people's cars and faces and that sort of thing. and then the troop levels here are very large. So the cartels, they don't want to mingle with them apparently, and everything's been very, very quiet since then. So I think Mexico, what it's doing is it's doubling down on, hey, the Riviera Maya is a huge portion of Mexico's GDP, and that's why it's to their benefit to control this and to bring this under control, have this under control. And even the cartels, it's in their best interest not to make a big hoopla about this, because at the end of the day, they're losing money. But this is something that happens in the United States, in Mexico, in any country this exists.
Yeah.
So it's not something new. It's just maybe a little more in your face as far as the news, because the news by nature is sensational. They're trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
So here in Mexico, we're scared of going to the US, because we're like, oh my God, if we go to a Walmart, I'm gonna get shot up, or a concert, or if I go to somebody's school, public school system, I might get shot up. So it's funny, when we hear about Americans getting scared of coming over here, we're like, no, we're scared of going over there, because if you actually look at the per capita numbers, if you compare this to some of the bigger cities in the US, or even middle-sized cities, per capita, we are safer than most other places. And I have a 2-year-old, I have a 7-year-old. I'm walking around Fifth Avenue. I don't even notice anything. I've never seen anything. I've obviously read things on the news, but it's usually between gang members or whatever. And as long as I tell my clients, as long as you're not selling drugs without permission, you're going to be fine. You have
Yeah.
nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and you know what? And you're right. And I know when we were down there as well too, and you talk to some of the locals, and they said exactly what you said as well too. It's like, listen, we're scared to actually go to America, and Americans come down here and they're like, hey, what's going on with the cartel? And I think it's all perspective. I think it's what you also do, what you're doing at certain times of the day. They should. I always said this. They should have a sign on the ATMs that says, hey, if you're pulling out money at 4 o'clock in the morning, are you sure you need this right now?
No, even that's safe. That's
it
really
is.
safe. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not a
Yeah.
big deal. But if you're drunk in a mini skirt, wrong side of town, 4 a.m., okay, and in
Right.
any city, that sort of things would happen. But
Yeah.
you know, it's not. It's a very safe city, especially Playa del Carmen. It has this kind of people still say hello, for example. You
Yeah,
know,
I've always felt safe since I've been there. And so you brought up Fifth Avenue. Can you touch why don't we touch on that and touch about like on the amenities and what Fifth Avenue is all about, and even a little bit more as to why that particular
sure.
region and that location there, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's where I personally live, although my company covers, the whole region, Cancun, Tulum, Morelos, Puerto Aventuras, and all those cities. My favorite, I would have to say, is Playa del Carmen and Tulum. Playa del Carmen, mostly because it's a small, medium-sized city, about 300,000 inhabitants, but it has the amenities that a larger city has, like a Walmart and a Sam's Club and IHOP and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But Fifth
And
Avenue is amazing because there's so much to see. It's about a 5 kilometer walk with shops. It's just a block away from the beach, a block or two away from the beach, depending on where you are in Playa. But it's great for people watching. It's great to go enjoy some food, some music, some shopping. It's where everyone goes to just kind of mingle and just walk with the kids. It's very family friendly, have a beer, whatever. And then you can just walk up a block over and you're in front of the beach. And there are beach restaurants and bars and that sort of thing. And it's very nice music and the weather's really cool and that sort of thing. Fifth Avenue is one of my favorite things to do. And we also have a bunch of other things because everyone, loves the ocean, the beach, the turquoise water. I myself also, but as all the locals know, after you start living here for about 10 years, you start to figure out that the magic is actually in the jungle. That's where you're going to find these hundreds of freshwater cenotes. It
yes.
looks like, straight out of a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Um, I forgot which one it's called, where he's on a beach, but it just looks exactly like that because all these watering holes, which are fresh water, and they're a little cold, but not too bad. But
It's
it's
refreshing.
yes,
It's
refreshing,
definitely
and it's
refreshing.
they're all in different shapes and sizes, and some of them are inside of a cave, others are open, others are half in a cave and half open, different size, shapes, and it's all in the middle of the jungle. And when you're in there, you get this special feeling like, wow, I am in the jungle, I am in a different world, and you kind of connect with your loved ones, the environment, and it's just absolutely incredible. The jungle, I would suggest never to forget what else we have, and we have so much else to do here as well. And you spoke a little bit about the amenities here. I mean, there's great shopping, culinary is just
Oh,
off
the
the
food is
hook here. It's
incredible.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is. It really is. We have so many Italians living here too. So the Italian food here is absolutely amazing. The Argentinian food here is absolutely amazing. The Thai food, the Mexican food, obviously, fish tacos and stuff. I'm already getting hungry. But sorry, my mouth is
Yeah, but
watering.
but though you bring up a good point though, right? Is that it's not only just the amenities there, it's also don't forget about the nature of the region as well too. The last time I was down there, I went on an excursion and went into a cenote, and I'm telling you, it was just absolutely incredible. And then when you start to learn not only just looking at it, but also understanding the history of it, and I believe it's also the largest underwater caverns in the world, is it not? I think in that particular region.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And it's absolutely incredible. I wouldn't go spelunking myself. But there is so much scuba diving here because it's very safe to do. You can go out to, we also have the world's second largest reef right behind coral reef, right behind Australia's. So, it's just, a few hundred meters away from the coast, a little boat ride or a little swim, or they actually have ropes that you can kind of, tug yourself out there in certain places like Akumal with the sea turtles. And you can see all these fish, these bright blue and bright yellow and bright red. And then I saw octopuses and lobsters, and, you can go spear fishing here.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible, the feeling of catching your own fish and then immediately turning it into a ceviche,
Right.
uh, or fish tacos, and it doesn't even have that fishy taste. It's just this amazing. We have great mahi mahi here, by the way, but absolutely incredible. And then another thing that I really love doing here is going to the little cities and towns that
Mhm.
surround this region.
Right.
It's called puebleando. It's kind of, I guess in English, it would be towning it or villaging it. So you go to these little, towns or cities, some are 15 minutes away, some are 45, 2 hours away, whatever. And, you're transported to another world with very colonial, old buildings, and the culture is a little bit different, and it's much more Mexican, and you get a feeling for it. But then you can come back and, enjoy the luxury and the amenities that is, right between, it's like that Goldilocks zone where this region is just familiar enough to draw people in, but different enough to keep them coming back. And I
Right.
feel that's what this has here.
Yeah. So I know people are going to want to get into the real estate piece of it. They're probably excited now, just even listen to this little bit of, hey, well, how do I buy a property? But before we get into that, I want to maybe kind of get a little bit higher of a bird's eye view and let's take a look at things from a macro level, and the BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and also maybe even get into the interest rates down there. Can you touch just a little bit more on that, and what's maybe even happening from what you can see being down there with the inflation that's being felt in Canada and the US and even other parts of the world? Are you guys experiencing that? And I know you understand that very well.
Right, right. It's a hobby of mine, economics and history. And we are feeling it, but not as much as the rest of the world. I mean, not much at all, actually. And one of the issues here is that all countries are in competition with one another.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works. And whoever can make their populace more productive typically gets to be number one. And if you're number one, you get to make most of the rules. And most of those rules, you try to make them good for you and your children and your kind and your country. And that's the way the world works as we know it. And about 40, 50 years ago, the US came into an agreement with Saudi Arabia where they provided Saudi Arabia with protection, with the agreement being that we will give you protection, but you sell your oil in dollars. What this did is create an artificial demand for dollars and scarcity of dollars that propped up the dollar somewhat, not totally. Uh, uh, but what we're feeling now is that all these oil exporting countries are considering other currencies to trade in, and that little cushion that we had is kind of going away, gone. But that doesn't mean that the dollar is going to go down or crashing or anything like that, not because of that. But there's some other things that have happened, like during COVID, there was quantitative easing,
Yeah.
where the government was pumping in billions and billions of dollars or trillions into the economy, and obviously inflation follows because of that.
And when you
Also,
say quantitative easing, for somebody who's listening, essentially what you're saying is printing money is what they were doing.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And even before COVID, it's always about stimulating the economy. They had these very artificially low interest rates of, 1, 2, 3%. And, the rest of the world is more around 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's normal. I mean, when you make borrowing money that cheap, you're basically creating more money, and it's creating the kind of things that we see in the 2008 financial crisis, and where people have to get bailed out and that sort of thing. So, we get a lot of people wondering about financing over here. Just so you know, financing is usually in the country of origin, where you have a credit score, a credit history, a job, that sort of thing. So even the Mexicans over here, for their financing, they're paying about 10, 11% annual interest rates, which worldwide is within the normal range. The abnormal is the 1, 2, or 3%
Yeah.
that we are used to up north. So I would say that's part of the problem that we're feeling now. We can't have that much stimulus and growth without some dips. So
Right.
with that being said,
And
uh,
and I'll touch on a point there because I've lived through it, is where now when these interest rates are so low, people then want to get into real estate investing because they now think that it's easy because the money is so cheap. But then now when these interest rates go up, and maybe they didn't lock in, and now they ran their numbers at a particular rate, and now it's outside of what they thought it was going to be, which now gets them into some difficulties. And that's what we're seeing up here right now, is where these investors have, they thought it was easy. They quit their jobs. They thought they're going to do real estate investing full time now, and they've now got themselves in some trouble. Not everyone, but quite a few.
yeah, reality has a way of asserting itself. Again and again. But Mexico's in a prime position to help these people, because I think this trend is going to continue, where the next generation is going to find it quite difficult to purchase a home. They're going to be priced out of purchasing a home because the income levels and the cost of these homes is going up. And more people are looking for less expensive ways to live,
Yeah.
places to live. So we're seeing a surge of expats actually coming down and retiring here, because they can either, be living like a pauper back in Canada or the US, and kind of counting pennies and having to choose, do I want medication or do I want food? And unfortunately, we have lots of people with having to make that choice. Do I want to eat today, or do I want to get better and take my pills? And that's absolutely sad. But here in Mexico, you can have both those things and so much more, because the cost of medical care here is so inexpensive. You can get a private doctor for $50 to see you the next day. And I had my heart checked, and I had the Holter, and I had the sonogram and all this stuff, because I'm a father, and I'm trying to be preventative, and it cost me $100 to have all these exams, where in the US it would have been thousands and thousands and thousands of
Tens of
dollars.
thousands. Yeah.
Yes, and the rent here, and the food here, and it's all very different from over there. And what we're seeing is a lot of people are purchasing a property, maybe a lock off where they can live on one side and rent out the other side and
Yeah.
make a good income and live off of that income and basically live like a king here.
Yeah, which is exactly what Darlene and I did as well too, thinking about that in the future, that we created that lock off, another door in the hallway there where we can live in one side and we can rent out the other side, right? So I do want to circle back on the bricks and before we move on, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think Mexico will be joining that? You know, can you touch on that a little bit?
I don't know the answer if Mexico will join. I think Mexico is very its major trading partners will continue to be Canada and the US.
Yeah.
And I don't see them doing anything to try to offset that. On the contrary, I think they're going to get closer and closer, and there's going to be more and more cooperation between those three countries. I also think that everyone's taken note of this, and a lot of those jobs and manufacturing jobs that were in China are now going through a process called nearshoring, where they're coming to Mexico, which has done wonders for the Mexican peso against all these other currencies, and we've been doing quite well. With that being said, also there's a lot of other businesses coming into Mexico, and I bring this up because they did a market analysis, like F1 Formula One racing did a market analysis, and they're going to be building here in the Riviera Maya. Also, Disney did a market analysis, and they're going to be building here in the Riviera Maya.
Oh, really?
And who else? And there's all these other huge multi-million dollar companies. Tesla is building in Monterrey, Mexico. I mean, these are huge companies, very smart people who look at a country and say, hey, is this country going to be stable for the next 100 years? They're
Yeah.
not looking at 50, they're looking, for their children's future as well.
Yeah.
So, and they've all decided, hey, Mexico is going to be stable, and it has to be. And they're going to get a lot more cooperation from Canada and the US, and things are getting better in that respect. And Mexico is becoming more and more important to our trading partners.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. You know what I remember is when you did that event for us and you showed the picture of Florida and what it looked like, and you showed a picture of the East Coast there of Mexico or my Riviera, and you can see the potential. You can see, I guess, for lack of a better word, how underdeveloped it is, but the potential of where it could go and where it is going. And I think what you're bringing up when you're saying Tesla and Disney and all these other major corporations seeing the opportunity and saying, we need to get in there while it's early and while the development is there. And you're seeing already some of those amenities there that we're familiar with, like the Walmart and the Home Depots and all that other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And Mexico has so many resources, such inexpensive labor market, that it just makes sense. It's a no-brainer. And
And the other thing, well, while you're thinking about what you're going to say next, the rapid transit system coming from Cancun, that's huge. Touch on that
the
a little.
train.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. I was going to talk about the satellite image of Florida and here,
Yes.
where the satellite image shows how big the city has come to be there in Miami. And then we see our coastline, which is very similar in coastline and about the same length. And we see a bunch of green. We see a little itty bitty cities
Yeah.
and a bunch of green. So eventually we're going to be that big in 100 years. So it's going to have a very different look and feel from Miami, but it's enjoy it now while it's small. But all these infrastructure things are taking that into account, because it's going to be growing here for the next 100, 200 years exponentially. So the Mexican government decided, hey, we need a train system there, and it goes all around the Yucatan Peninsula and inland. And what this is going to help us do is get the minerals and resources we have here out and bring in the goods and resources that we want from mainland, from the center of Mexico. So this is really, really going to help. It's total game changer. It's already starting in December. It's almost completed. So that's going to be that's going to up everyone's prices, value of their homes
Yeah.
as soon as
Absolutely.
that's done. And then we also have the Tulum airport. So right now we have one international airport, Cancun, and wow, we have direct flights from all over the world, literally. But it's gotten so busy that we have to have another international airport, and it's going to be in Tulum, and you can already buy flights. So that's also its first flight is going to be landing November, December, somewhere around there, January.
Really? Oh, so
Yeah.
from the US or Canada to go right into
Yes,
Tulum?
right
Wow,
into Tulum.
that's
Yeah,
huge.
incredible.
That's
So we're
huge.
getting a lot of infrastructure here, and that's very exciting. And it's already going to be implemented. This is not just, somebody talking. This is actually it's running right now. They're testing it as we speak. So all this bodes very well for this region. And my agency, we don't have to push anyone to buy anything. We're very hands off, do what you will, because you don't really have to sell this region at all. It sells itself as soon as you get down here and you look at the people that have moved here. As soon as you go to one of our expat parties, we have these monthly expat parties where new homeowners meet old homeowners. And they kind of get mingled and drunk and make really bad decisions, that sort of thing. And just kidding. And but you as soon as you hear it from somebody else how they've seen the price of their unit go up because they bought 10 years ago,
Yeah.
you kind of do the math and you're like, okay, now I get it. Now I see the infrastructure. Now I see the beauty here. Now I see all these people from all over the world coming to live here. So it's a simple calculation to make.
It's incredible. And when we went down there, I can tell you this, Darlene's very conservative. And so when we left and we were on that plane, she's like, I need a place here. Not want, need. So as soon as I got back, I had to call my accountant. I had to call my, everybody that I needed to kind of get the ball rolling on our side and then connect with your contacts down there. And we're going to touch on that as well too. But now let's kind of get into the real estate side of things and what are the prices that people can expect for, say, a studio or a 1 bedroom or, up to a 3 bedroom. And I know obviously it's going to change based on, where you are, or is it a new build or how old it's been, but there's a price range to kind of help people out with.
Right. It all depends on how many offers the developer has on their table and how well we can negotiate, what time of year you come, what kind of unit you want, if you're buying pre-construction, if you're buying something that's already completed. But just to give you a rough idea, studios can range anywhere from 90,000 to $120,000. 1 bedroom can range anywhere from 110 to $180,000. And then 2 bedrooms, whether they're lock off or not, can range anywhere from 180 to $400,000. And then the 300, the 3 bedroom kind of units, that's where it gets very special because we have units that are starting at something like 275 all the way up to 800,000. But from the rental standpoint, which most of my clients, they want to use this themselves a few months out of the year to get away and then have it rented out the rest of the time. And what we're seeing is that anything over a 2 bedroom unit rents as spectacularly well because families want to stay together. There's not that much inventory in the 3 bedroom department. And listen to me, I'm already giving advice on what you should buy. Sorry,
No,
but
it's all good. But it's good.
studios, it's a great way to go. It's a great starter property.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? It at least gives people the idea of what's happening down there. If they've got the budget for the 3 bedroom, or maybe they don't, and they're like, "Hey, look, let me just get started with a studio, but I can get into a great market for like $100,000 or less US, right?" So,
Absolutely. And if you buy pre-construction with a reputable developer, you only have to pay 30% down payment to lock in those prices. And our job is to make sure that you don't have any surprises, that you know who the developer is, what your risk level is, if there is any, and that sort of thing. So you have accurate expectations of what you can earn in the future and what you can expect.
yeah, and that's the other good thing as well too. And we'll touch on this now too. Is just that whole process from when you see something that you like to when it actually now closes. What is that process like? And you obviously have a team down there and the lawyers. And can you just touch on that and how does that work? And how do
Sure, I'll
you
send
hold their
you
hand? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you over the video. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'll explain
Yeah.
it here.
Or I can go through it too.
No, no, no. Happy to do it. But basically, it's very simple. You get into contact with us. We have a quick phone call. We get to know you a little bit better. And if this is, we ask you a few questions like, is this an investment property? Are you just wanting to see the numbers? Is this for your personal use or a little bit of both? And we have access to all properties, whether they're resales, new construction, pre-construction. And then we come back and we show you these property videos and you tell us, hey, I like this, I don't like that, I'd rather like this area, can you find me this unit but in that area? And we'll tear everything apart, any specific area that you want us to look into, and we'll look into it, and you'll have all your best options. And once we have, at least, two or three good options, we can schedule a fly and buy program where we can pick you up at the airport. We can set you up in a development where you wish to buy, so you can actually see what it's like, which I highly recommend, or at least talk to people that have purchased there before. Look at me again, giving advice on how to purchase. But anyway, back to the steps is we filter the properties. You come on down and you can do the reality show like you did. And I don't remember us pulling you into the reality show. I remember you throwing yourself into the
I did.
van.
I did, not Darlene. Darlene
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
no, I don't want to do it. But me, yeah.
no, no, it's a lot of fun. You get a chauffeur and you have a videographer there, and you usually have me because I like to get in on that as well. And we'll take you around and we'll show you the properties. We'll knock on people's doors. Hey, are you having any problems with this developer? Is this a noisy neighborhood? We'll get the accurate expectations, which is so
Right.
important to have. And then we'll have dinner on the beach or lunch, and we'll come to a decision. We'll compare properties on an Excel, and we'll do the plus and minuses and pros and cons, and just make sure that you have the most accurate information, so you have the best expectations possible, the most accurate expectations. And it's quite easy. After that, we do a reservation to take the unit off the market. And we reserve the unit because there's been things move quickly here. And if you don't take it off the market, you're probably not the only person looking at that property. It's a very hot market right now. And then we,
And then now, when you say take it off the market, are you saying now you put the offer in?
right, we
So,
reserve it,
yeah.
typically $5,000 into your escrow account or into a reputable developer's account. It's 100% reimbursable, takes the unit off the market while we complete negotiations with the developer.
Yeah.
And once we complete negotiations with the developer, which is putting in the offer letter and all that good stuff, we go with the property attorneys that then do their due diligence and take a look at everything and make sure that everything is in order, there's no liens, and that there's no issues with any of the documentation.
And just kind of going back, that first offer that you're putting in, I think it's just a sheet of paper, isn't it? It's just almost like, hey, look, we intend to move forward with this property. Here's our $5,000. And we're ready to negotiate, essentially, right? Before you get to the larger actual purchase and sales agreement.
Correct, correct.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
And so then now when you get to that, what's that process like? Because obviously, somebody who's coming from Canada or the US, and they're predominantly speaking English, a lot of the documentation is also in Spanish. There's both versions on those sheets, are there not?
Right. We work with attorneys that always have everything in Spanish. For legal purposes, only the Spanish version is taken into consideration. But for their convenience, right next to it is the English version, and we always take a look at that. And the attorneys always take a look at that and make sure that you understand what you're signing. You understand absolutely everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I know when we went through it and dealing with the lawyers that you guys recommended, it was such an easy process. And almost every single question that we asked, whether it was in that one meeting or if we're like, oh, hold on, I got two more questions, and then reached out to them again. And they were just so forthcoming and transparent. And I think that's so important, especially when you're purchasing and making a large purchase like that in another country. And so, that was important to us so that we knew that, hey, if we're going to now share this with other people up here that we work with, we want to create that team and that trustworthiness, so that if somebody's going to make such a big purchase, like, okay, cool, Gary and Darlene, we trust what you guys are doing down there with MyCasa.
Yeah, absolutely. And the attorneys are so important. They're such a key part of this process because I don't know if you know, but so much of developing is risk mitigation. So if the developer can put more risk on the buyer and take away risk from themselves, they'll do so. And that's what they do. If the buyer, let's say, goes directly to the developer, it's not a good idea because you're basically putting yourself with their attorneys, and attorneys, even if you get your own attorney, that attorney will be more beholden to an external developer because they represent repeated business for them, and you're just a one-off. So you have to be careful with that, and you have to be careful what kind of attorneys you get here because not all attorneys are the same. Like in the US, they all have a very high standard. Over here, your waiter can have their law degree, your taxi driver could have their law degree, but we don't want that sort of attorney. We want somebody very serious, competent, experienced, and that's what we provide to make sure that that all the risks and everything are normal and to everyone's benefit.
Yeah, what other, and that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. What other mistakes do you see investors make coming from Canada and purchasing a property down there? So just essentially just going right to the builder is one. What else do you see?
Yeah, the biggest one is going straight to the builder. I mean, they'll say, "Oh, I'll give you a better deal," but really, they're either going to pay their salespeople the commission or their master broker, or they're going to pay us the commission. It's not like, and you might as well have your own people looking out after your interests. So,
Right.
you're kind of getting cut out of a lot of benefits if you go directly to the developer. Another one is that going with a non-licensed real estate agent. If you're with somebody that doesn't have their real estate license, like they're not licensed real estate agents like they need to be in Canada and the US, you're not with a real estate professional. You're with a salesperson. You're with somebody that's going to sell you anything they can, any way they can. But when you go through the licensing program and you put that money into that and you go to school for this, you have those ethics and you have a reputation, and you're guarding your reputation, and you make sure that all your clients are happy with you. That's the sort of person that you want to go with because they're going to take your well-being more importantly than their well-being.
And
So
is it just a card that they've got? You can say, "Hey, can you show me
yes,
your real estate license?"
absolutely. I'm trying to find mine. I don't have it on hand, but I do have it here. It's here. The special word is matriculación, matriculated. So just say, hey, can I see your matriculation card or your real estate license card? They'll know what you're talking about. But if they do not have that, you're not speaking to a real estate agent. You're speaking to a salesperson. They might be pushy. They might not show you everything. They'll probably won't show you everything because not even agents here don't even know everything that exists here. This is why MyCasa took the time to create this database where everything is in video format, so we can see the whole market, literally everything. So yeah, go with a licensed real estate agent and somebody with experience.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I want to touch on this, and I don't know if you've even just at high level. So somebody comes down there now, they purchase their property, they fall in love with the place. Does that make it easier now for them to get their citizenship, whether they start off with a temporary or permanent? Can you touch on that a bit?
Yeah, of course. There are many ways to get your citizenship here. I'm not an expert on that. I
Yep.
usually point them in the direction of immigration specialists that we know and that do amazing work, and they do everything for you, and they're not expensive at all. And one of the ways to get your a residency here, and a very easy way, is to invest here, to have a real estate property here, and that's one route to get it. But there are several, and it's not difficult to get your residency here. Unlike other countries, Mexico really does want more Americans, more Canadians to come down here. They want you to retire. They appreciate your business, and I've seen them go out of their way to make them feel at home.
All right. And then now that you've got the property, what else is needed now? So you've closed your property. Now you're like, okay, how do I rent this thing out?
Well, I'm
Are you
glad you say
gone
this
now?
because
Is that it? Or
no, no, no. My casa's here, for the rest of your life. You can't get rid of us, even if you wanted to. So we're neighbors for life, and we're here forever. Until you want to sell your place, we're gonna help you do that as well. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to get together with your real estate advisor, preferably somebody from My Casa, because somebody from My Casa is going to have a whole list of post-sales things that we have to do, like furnishing your apartment and decorating it. And if it's for personal use, it's going to be very different the way you're going to furnish it compared to if this is for rental use, because we need the pictures to come out a certain way, and you want the pictures that go up on Airbnb or whatever to stand out apart from everyone else. So we have a real estate agent here who she's amazing. She's an interior designer. She studied industrial design, and then she got into interior design, and then she got into real estate. Lots of experience, and she's more than happy to help. And we actually have a YouTube video that'll and a podcast as well that'll show you all the details of cheap and easy ways to make more money with your apartment through its decoration, through its furnishings, through its marketing, basically. And you can find that on our YouTube channel as well. But yeah, it's and then after that, you want to get with a good rental management company, which we also have a list of the top rental management companies. We also have a video, an informational video that takes you through how much is the average that they should be charging you. Does that include HOA? Does that include electric? Are they going to take care of everything? All those sorts of questions. Your My Casa real estate advisor is going to be walking you through every step of the way. There's no point in this where we say, oh no, that's not my job. On the contrary, I'm actually writing a book right now. It's called the Riviera Maya. Well, it's more of a guide, Riviera Maya Real Estate Investment and Relocation Guide, which will let newcomers come in and get up and going as quickly as possible, start living like a local, stop paying the tourist prices, get more for your money, know where to go for doctors, for translators, for attorneys, for how to open up a bank account, how to get a car, all those questions, where to go on a Saturday night, those sorts of things.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, the where the swingers clubs are, those sorts of. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I'm looking
But
forward to that book, at least for that chapter now, right?
don't tell
Yeah.
Darlene. But
But no, that's good. That, to have a guide like that. And so now you said you have that list. Do they go to your website, or is that something that you provide your clients?
yeah, you just email us, and you can go to our website and you can ask for it there, or you just email us at info@mycasa.mx. Just say, hey, I'm with Gary, and guide me. And with that, we're good.
All
So
right.
yeah, always let me know where you're coming from, because here at My Casa, we like to know which marketing campaigns are most working. So please always mention that you are with Gary
Yeah.
and his group.
Yeah. Just mention Gary Hibbert or Smart Home Choice, and Raul and his team will definitely look after you.
Yeah.
Raul, listen, this was very informative. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you, or even a last piece of advice that you'd like to share before we kind of wrap things up?
There is so much. I
I
don't think we
know.
could finish. I mean, it's just everyone here has a different vibe. I mean, nobody's actually from here. This was all just jungle. There was like 12 people living here about 20 years ago. So you can see it in their faces. People went to great lengths to live here a long, long time ago, from Europe, from Canada, from the US, from Mexico, and you can see it on their faces how happy they are, because everyone here went to great lengths to come here and to be happy here. And I think that's what most makes our society here so different, is that everyone chose to be here, uh, and everyone wants to be here. And you can see it at the expat parties. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there, buddy. We have it every month, and we'll see you there.
Yeah. When is it? Is it the end of the month, the beginning of the month?
This one is going to be we're in October, so we're going to have a Day of the Dead one. Let me get you the dates, and I'll get
Yeah.
back to you with that.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Raul, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, and I know you did say the email address there, but is that the best way to get a hold of you, at info@mycasa.ca?
Right, or just visit our website and you can start a chat on the lower right hand corner. There's a way to chat and just say, hey, Gary sent me, and usually when you come directly through Gary, I attend to you personally, or I'm much more involved. So please let me know.
Yeah, awesome. And then one last thing I guess we'll touch on as well too is the property tour that we're going to be doing in December. So December 2nd to December 6th. You want to touch on that just a little bit and we'll wrap it up?
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. We're already planning it, and we're gonna have the MyCasa van, which has like a little living room thing going on in the back where the seats are facing each other, so you get a lot of face to face with other people. And the group is getting so big that I think we're gonna have to rent another van and maybe two, who knows? But we're really excited because it'll give you a buffet of all your different types of options. Because you can be in the center of town in the hustle and bustle of everything, or you can be a little off center where you're close enough, but you don't have to listen to any of this, and you can kind of be more secluded or alone if that's what you like, which is what I personally like. And so we're going to do a buffet of all your best and different options, and then you can tell us where you want us to dig in deeper with you. So, and then we're going to take you to all the different lifestyle things that we have here. We're going to show you where the adventure parks are, where Fifth Avenue is, where to get a good food, good show, theater, all that good stuff. And we have so much entertainment here. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So
And the
we're going to be
beach, of
giving you a
course.
buffet of everything.
Yeah. And the beach, of course.
Oh, of course, no.
That's why you don't have to even mention it.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
Raul, listen, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple months. And I think that this tour is going to be great. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this particular show because I think you gave a lot of really good insights in regards to what's happening down in that region and why it's a good place to whether you're going to live there or invest there. So thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. And to your viewers, let's be neighbors soon.
Love it. Talk to you.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
Bye.